Good afternoon. Number 59. Yes, Yadat, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
How's your health condition? Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am, it's good.
Okay. So, there was no like MCQ module test examination for third module and fourth module, right? So you'll have descriptive exam. Okay. So it's on both third module and on fourth module. So you'll get two marks questions from each module and one SI question. Okay, long answer type question from each module. So you will get six questions. So you have to answer for them all. And module 5 is assignment based. The score will be given on assignment based. So there was no MCQ type tests. Okay then. Today I'll start the concept cursors. I think up to triggers we have finished. Am I right, Shiva? Triggers, yeah. So this is the new concept. I will tell you at first what is the use of the trigger. Sorry, cursors. Okay. Already we have many queries. Okay. Without using PLSQL block by using only DDL or DML or TCL or DCL. Those are the comments. So if we work something, if we execute something, we will get the result back. That is good. And advanced. Okay. We have used functions, so it can be possible using the procedural block structure. So we have done many of the programs also based on PLSQL. Actually, this doubt you have to get while doing the programs on PLSQL. I will just remind you, we have done two programs in PLSQL. One is for displaying a message like hello world, and one I think I given one more program to display some student records as name. Only one records information we have just displayed. So for that we have written the code. What my question is actually, so whenever we write DML comments, definitely the data will be fetched row by row. Okay, because see, if you're going to update something, now see if you have written something like.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Are you sharing screen?
No. Okay, sir. So what is happening here is, if you write a DML command, okay, it will just see, and suppose in that syntax, if you specified any condition, okay, the compiler it doesn't know to exactly retrieve that particular record and have to modify. It will check row by row. Okay, each student's record row by row. That means it is fetching something. So where that fetch data records, okay, where it will be get stored. We are getting the result finally. Suppose you have inserted at once some 10 records. Okay, 10 records were inserted. We are getting that 10. Or else if you select something, okay, select star from students table. We are getting the result like 10 records are selected. So what about that 10? Okay, how we are getting that value? That means row count. Okay, cursor. That means the cursor attribute functionality is executing even though we have not explicitly mentioning, okay, anything. But I can say implicit cursors are executing. Then what is that cursors? That is nothing but using some variables. It will just, it has some memory. Okay, I'll give you one more general example. We are going to declare, suppose if you take C programming language or Java, whatever the programming language it is. If I gave the task like write a program to add the two operands, okay, then you will start declaring the two variables. Okay, if you declare, that means automatically some memory space will be allocated for that variables based on the data type which we have specified. So whenever we have declared, so the memory space will be gets allocated, and whatever the block of code that we have written, so according to that it will be get updated. The value of that variable will be gets updated. Okay, so here the cursors also, which is used to store the, it also has some memory, okay, and which is used to store the what we are fetching, that information it will be get stored. That's it. But see, ఇప్పటి వరకు మనం చేసిన programs లో nowhere we haven't declared any of the explicit cursors, but we are getting the results. It is fetching some, showing like, okay, if you write some update query using triggers, okay, so some three records will be gets updated. What is that tree? Row count functionality is executing even though we haven't mentioned explicitly. Okay, that means implicit cursors are executing. Okay, so that is what the cursors uses. Okay, so cursors are of two types, implicit cursors and explicit cursors, and I will show you the syntax of explicit cursor, and I will execute here so that you can see the result of the explicit cursors, how it works. And meanwhile, I will upload the material into the Moodle portal. I request everybody to get execute the explicit cursors. See, it is still 212, but I can see the participant. For all the classes, the participants count will be like this. I don't know what was happening. Even when I go for the labs or else the same subject for other section, see, I can see the participants count at by 2 o'clock. I can see 50 number of participants from that section, but I don't know why I'm getting like this much of count from your section. I'm starting the session before 10 minutes. Okay. Let me share the document. See here, whatever the explanation that I've given. So this is the definition, and there are of two cursors, implicit and explicit. So actually, all this will be gets executed even though we haven't mentioned, okay, any one of this. Because see, if you write something, so then automatically the SQL, it is going to fetch your entire records from that table. Okay, so if it is found, then okay. If it is not found, then see, if you have not, suppose imagine that you have created one table, but if you haven't inserted any of the records, okay, but if you are trying to retrieve some records information within the same table, then what it shows? It will tell us like no records were found. That means this, it will get executed. If there was no record, so using this one, we will get the execution that no records were found. Okay, so these are the implicit attribute functionalities. You know very well, person found, which is used to find out something from the records in the table, and if there were based on your condition, if it is not found, then we'll get the result back that no records were found. Okay, so like that we'll get the messages, right? So using this, even though we haven't created the cursor, but we have this is getting executed. Say we have used, I think, this in triggers and even in PLSQL also, PLSQL functions. Okay, row count, which is used to count the number of rows. So using this, we are getting the results like 10 records were updated, 10 records were inserted. So like that, we are getting the result using this. So this was the explanation about each and every cursors operations. Okay. So implicit cursors attribute operations. And this is the example. Already you have done many of the PLSQL without using explicit cursor. So that means you can put those as the examples for the implicit cursors also. Okay, no need to execute, but for the material purpose, I have again mentioned here one example. Okay, but try to create, you see, you are going to execute explicit cursor. If you want to execute the same code which I have written here, then this input table should be there in your database, this input table. Okay, whatever the values, but give the attribute names as it is like this. Otherwise, see, suppose if you want to perform explicit cursor on any of the table which has existed in your database, then just be careful. While you are executing the explicit cursor, here you have to change, okay, the table name and also the attributes. So according to it, we have to give the variable names. See, whatever the variables that we have declared here, okay, in this variables, based on your selection of the attributes from the table, so that means this ID, it will be copied into the C underscore ID. Name for C underscore name, address for C address. Okay, see, explicitly we are doing this. So cursor name. The syntax of the cursor is cursor name is, and then we have to write this one. And then see, till now I can say that you have just created the cursor, and then we have to write the following code. Okay, and then finally before the unlock we have to close the cursor. Here what is the cursor? What is the cursor name here? C underscore customers. Okay, see this is the explicit cursor. That means we are going to select all these attributes from the table. That is what I got the output: ID, CID, CNAME, C address. Okay, I will show you the execution. I've already done the execution this one. Okay. I think I haven't said. was showing like this. I have created Dbms.
Ma'am,
Yes.
when I'm trying to connect, it says my account is logged. Ma'am, what can I do?
What happened?
When I'm typing connect system or system, it's and when I pressed enter, the output was like your system is your.
Relog in then.
It's not working, ma'am.
Oh. Maybe no, it has to work. Is it showing the error only on today or?
Last time also, ma'am, I asked you already.
Have you reinstalled it again?
Yes, ma'am. 3-4 times I did.
Still you are getting the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my god.
Ma'am, are there any better online compilers, ma'am?
Actually, in online, we don't have the some of the rights to execute like some commands.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
they didn't give actually.
That's the issue.
That is the issue. Even the other campus following this 10G version, Oracle 10G or 11G. That's it.
Should I use MySQL, ma'am?
You can, but even still, because here in this, it's not connected with the cloud as you are the admin, and so that you have all the rights to execute like TCL or DCL also. But even in MySQL also, it's not possible to execute all the commands.
Okay.
That is what. Do one thing, uninstall everything. Okay, I will share my application drive link. Okay, again reinstall it properly.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just remind me, Manish.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yes, no, not a problem. And how it gets executed. Right. Just run my SQL command line. Go to this and execute the code. Explicit cursor code. Okay, so that you can see the output, because even without explicitly mentioning the cursors also will get the execution. Okay, but if try to find out a small change that, okay, just create the cursor and open the cursor and close the cursor. That's it. The code is same. Okay, you have done, because you have done the PLSQL functions already. So whatever the block structure that you have followed, so within the block code only you have to write the cursor creation code and everything. Okay, I will just here execute the code once. If you set server output on, then it works for all of the programs. No need to set it again and again. What's happened? So just execute this code. I have already uploaded the material in the Moodle portal. Just download it and try to execute the explicit cursor. Remember one thing, the input table should be there. Okay, I have created the table as it is with the records, same records. This uh, the result from this run MySQL command data only I have copied there in the document, but now I am not able to see the data which I have inserted into the table. Let me check one more time. So meanwhile, you try this. So those who want to execute it directly, before that you have to create the table. This is the customers table. Explicit cursor execution is enough. Suppose if you want to retrieve something from the existing table in your database, then change the table name here, and whatever the attributes that you want to select, you just mention here. Okay, and according to it, see how many of the attributes that you are selecting. So that many of the variables you have to mention here in the declaration part. That's it. So this is common. And we have to finally close the cursor. I have selected 3. So that is what we have taken here, the 3 variables. If we haven't declared anything, any variables, to store the result of fetching some data, okay, fetching your tabular data. So then that information where it will be get stored is, it will use the block structure memory. Okay, if you haven't specified anything, it will use the block structure memory. But if we explicitly created the cursor, so then it will just store the information about each row and row by row information. It will be get stored by this cursor called C underscore customers. Madam, implicitly అయితే మనం వేరియబుల్స్ యూస్ చేయట్లేదు కదా, సో how it will stored, how it has the memory అంటే it will just store directly in the, it will use the block structure memory. See, here we are declaring something, right? So this is the block structure code. So the implicit cursor uses directly that memory. Those who have executed, you can ping me through chat box. Can I know how many of you all are doing? Just raise your hands. Got the execution? Okay, students, I'm ending the session. Get it finished. The execution of this explicit cursor. So only one concept that is left, ODBC and JDBC. That I'll tell you in the tomorrow's class. Thank you.